Shalom, Israel. The Israelite School of Universal Practical Knowledge. Start out at 1 West 125th Street, Harlem, New York, under Commanding General Yohana. It's the Monday scripture breakdown class. Let's clap it up. As always, we teach Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth according to the Bible since 1969. We've been teaching Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the true culture and identity, something that your Christian pastor is ill-equipped to do because they don't give a damn about you. They care more about money. They care more about fame and comfort in hell than they do about the lives and the safety and the freedom of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. So your Christian pastors, as they always do, they will gladly sell you out for a crumb in your oppressor's kingdom. You see that all the time. Every time they rob you, every time they abuse your children, every time they sleep with they help your wife commit adultery, they commit adultery with your wife. Every time you see those atrocities going on in that Christian church and nothing about it changes, you know that they don't give a damn about you and they're willing to sell you out just for a crumb in your oppressor's kingdom. Right. You know what I mean? So we came out here to teach and do what your Christian pastors are ill-equipped to do. Because somebody got to do it. Otherwise, if the ISUPK doesn't come out here and teach our people their true culture and identity, then nobody will, because nobody else is doing it. With that, if you got any questions or comments, go ahead, put them in the chat. Any questions in the room, you go ahead, raise your hand at any time. We'll go ahead and answer all your questions, solve all your problems. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe to the channel. Share it to you. Share it with your grandma, your grandpa. Whether you agree or whether you disagree. Go ahead, share it with your peoples, get in these comments and let me know. If we saying something that's wrong, go ahead, say it with your chest. Say what we saying is wrong and state your claim so we could go ahead and address it. As we already know, right? Today is so-called Martin Luther King Day, where every year the slaves of America have to go and honor a man who not only who spent his entire career that we know of, fulfilling his own lust of wanting to sleep with your oppressor's women, but at the end of his career of fulfilling his lust, he denounced his own doctrine. He denounced his own mission, saying that he led Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans he integrated rather Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans into a burning house. And this, ironically, is also the day of Donald Trump's inauguration. And I'm going to explain to you why both of those things go hand in hand. See, your oppressor makes sure, Slacky, you might go ahead and play in that video real quick. Your oppressor makes sure you honor and revere Martin Luther King every single year since he was in kindergarten, before you could tie your shoes properly, before you could wipe your own behind. Martin Luther King was fed to you in that schoolhouse, in the movies and TV shows and all of that. Martin Luther King, Martin Luther King, Martin Luther King. I had a dream. That was one of the, if not the first, that was one of the first civil rights activists. That was and when you learn about Black history, that's one of the first people that you learn about. And they spoon feed you that. And we're going to see how Martin Luther King felt about his so-called dream. Because they spoon feed you Martin Luther King's dream, but they don't tell you this. Slack, you go ahead and play that, Baba Krishan.
The rape of my family has never been this complete, except perhaps in the time of slavery itself, when we were ripped out of Africa and we were separated from our families. But the second largest wave of dismantling of the Black family now sits in this part of the 20th century, moving into the 21st. The last thing Dr. King ever said to me, 5 days, as a matter of fact.
Listen, it's like you want to pause on it. Listen real good to what he says. Listen real good. Roll it back just about 5 seconds, because this is very important, right? See, what you got to understand. Well, just listen real close, and I'm gonna do my best to lay it. I'm gonna do my best to explain it as succinct and precise as I can. It's like you go ahead.
The last thing Dr. King ever said to me, 5 days, as a matter of fact, before he was murdered, was he was at my home. He had just finished a strategy meeting on the Poor People's Campaign. And he seemed quite agitated after what we thought was a very successful gathering and discussion. And he said to me, I said, what's the matter, Martin? You seem very agitated. He said, well, I am. But I've come upon a thought that I don't know how to deal with at this moment. I said, well, what is it? He says, we fought long for integration. It looks like we're going to get it. I think we get the laws. He says, but I'm afraid that I've come upon something I don't know quite what to do with. I'm afraid that we're integrating into a burning house.
We'll pause it right there. Martin Luther King himself, after all he fought long and hard for, he said, after we fought long and hard for integration into America, he said, I'm afraid that we have integrated into a burning house. Now, you mind going to that tab? Yeah, that one. And just reading that top part.
This is the title or the AI overview?
The AI overview.
Khan, I fear that I may have integrated my people into a burning house, is a quote from Martin Luther King Jr. It expresses his concern that the United States was becoming a place that did not value the poor and disfranchised.
See, this is something that Martin Luther King realized far too late. You know what I mean? Where you know what I mean, blacks okay. So first of all, you got to read between the lines. Who are the poor and disenfranchised? Where in a world where blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans got to fight for, you know what I mean, the right to, you know what I mean, go wherever they please, right, to work in certain places, to be able to live in certain places. Who are the poor and disenfranchised? It's blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
Right.
And after fulfilling a whole career of being able to fulfill his lust with sleeping with all these oppressors, women, and you know what I mean, fighting day and night to be able to eat at these nasty oppressors, you know what I mean, diners and things like that. Now, 5 days before his life is taken, now he realizes that he may have integrated blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans into a society that does not want or respect them or give a damn about them.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's like you might read those bullet points.
Khan. Explanation. King believed that the United States needed to address the needs of the poor and disenfranchised.
As we just explained, that's you, black man, Hispanic man, and Native American man. That was by design. You know what I mean? When in 1492, when the Spaniards and all the Europeans that came over under the what do they call it? The colonization doctrine, I believe it's called, right, where they came over and decided that they were going to claim and conquer and any land that they set their foot on and enslave any people that were in there. That was you, black, Hispanic, and Native American man. And then in 1619, they went on ahead and brought your you know what I mean, the so-called African Americans, who are the Judites in America today. You know what I mean? They went on ahead and brought you over here to join that slave labor and to ship you all over the world. You know what I mean? So by design, because you spent 400 years in oppression and slavery and, you know what I mean, all the atrocious things that they were doing to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, you are the poor and disenfranchised.
Right.
It's like, go ahead.
Khan. He believed that the integration was important, but that it was not enough to address the underlying issues of racism and discrimination.
Now, this is okay. So if integration is important, what is the importance of integration aside from addressing the underlying issues of racism and discrimination?
Right.
Now, I thought that that's what integration was about. I mean, wasn't that not the point? But if you integrate a people into a society of their oppressor and it doesn't solve the problem of racism and discrimination, what was it all for? It's like, go ahead, read on.
Khan. King believed that the United States needed to commit to educational and economic justice.
Something that you damn sure don't see. You know what I mean, you damn sure don't see that.
Right.
Go ahead.
He believed that the United States needed to revolutionize its values.
Yeah, wouldn't that be nice? Right? That's something that something that the United States does not intend to do. And this is why, you know what I mean, Trump being inaugurated into the presidential office today and Martin Luther King Day go hand in hand because Martin Luther King's dream of integrating Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans into white society is the reason why Donald Trump can be president today,
Right.
despite all the, despite all the essay, the sexual misconduct that his past is just full of, overflowing with, despite the theft that his past is full of, despite the racism that his history is full of, he is still able to be the president of the United States, despite him just recently being convicted of 34 felonies. Like 34 felonies is crazy.
Right.
You know what I mean? You as a Black, Hispanic, or Native American man, you could barely flip a burger with a misdemeanor.
Right.
You know what I mean? But 34 felonies, Donald Trump, who is a known who performs sexual misconduct, who is a known thief, who is a known what's the word? I mean, who is just a known criminal, just in general. He is now a second time president of the United States. You know what I mean? That's what Martin Luther King's dream got. And guess what? Guess who was the target audience? And it's not just Donald Trump, because for the past, as far as I can remember, you know what I mean, for the past couple years, for the past at least 15 years, what is it? Obama was in office for 8 years.
Wow.
So that's and then Biden right after for 4 years. Kamala, what was it? Trump? No, Obama, Trump,
Yeah, I believe so.
Biden, and then Trump again.
Right.
But in between, you had Kamala running. You had, what was her name? Witch. Yeah, what was her name?
Yeah.
Hillary Clinton.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? All of these people are known criminals. All of these people are not your people. Like Obama, where he, you know what I mean, he played on the hearts and the minds of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, posing as a Black man. And he was able to get in office and run for 8 years under the guise of being a Black man. You know what I mean? Leaning on Black votes, leaning on Black culture to get himself elected for those 2 terms.
Right.
That's how he got into office. You know what I mean? Who else? Kamala Harris. You know what I mean? She was just running up against, it doesn't matter whether Kamala Harris or Donald Trump would have won. You'd have still had an evil heathen, you know what I mean, ruling over you. Even Biden sitting in office, like he was one of the key components of the 3 strikes law and the I believe was stop and frisk, and what was one other? The mass incarceration of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
Right.
Him and Kamala Harris. So point is, what did all those people have in common? When it's time to vote, when it's time to get in that election booth, who are they depending on? Go ahead and say it in the mic.
See, they put it on the Black man, Black women,
Right.
Hispanic man, Hispanic women,
Right.
Native American man, Native American women. That's what they depended on.
God.
You know, that's heavy what you said. Just going back, I know you at the beginning of the class you were saying Martin Luther King had got us into a burning building 5 days before he passed, and with that, like we was already in the burning building.
Right.
That's all he did was put more fuel on the fire.
God.
That's all he did. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's like he just was a pawn. He just a pawn. That's all he was. Like before that time, we had our own communities.
God.
We were thriving. They had Tulsa. The Black Wall Street. We were thriving perfectly.
God.
Our president didn't want to see that. Just like that brother. Our brother get that class last week with Willie Lynch. How he got to make us depend on them.
Right.
That's all he did by integrating with us. Now we were forced to depend on the white man.
Right.
God.
Forced to depend on the oppressor now. We was thriving perfectly without them. You know what I'm saying? That's all we needed. That's all we needed is some funds. That's what he should have been doing. Being marching, walking, trying to get some funds for our own schools, funds for our own programs. You know what I'm saying? Not try to integrate with them and try to join hand in hand with them. Shit, that's how you said. Like I said earlier, he just put more fuel on the fire.
Come,
That's all he did.
give him a hand. Because what he said was absolutely correct, and that's the whole point of the class. Like, because everything that he said was absolutely correct. And we gonna expound because that's the class right there. That's go ahead.
Like if I add more, it's like I know the brother probably was kind of he was kind of trying to be in the spirit, but he was out the spirit. Because if he read the scriptures, man, what that Romans 15 and 4, 50, what is 15? Yeah, 15 and 4. Let me read it for you. For whatsoever things was written aforetime, written for our learning.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? If he'd went back in time and realized what they did in Tulsa, what they did, during the Great Depression, where all the jobs was taken away from all the black men, you know what I'm saying, through the slavery, all the things, all the atrocities that happened to us during slavery, during the Tulsa, all the massacres. Like he was a pastor. He would have took the scripture and put it to use and put it, you know what I mean, like it's supposed to be. None of this stuff would have happened.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We'd have our own programs, our own schools. Man, own businesses still, you know what I'm saying? Not had to depend on the white man and the oppressor, you know what I'm saying?
What you saying is so heavy. Give him another hand.
Right.
And what you saying is so heavy and so precise. Like, that's the poison of the Christian church. Because, like you said, he was a pastor. Right. I mean, he was a reverend. Right. If only he had opened it. You got that Romans 15 that you just Bob shot. Go ahead, finish it off.
This is the book of Romans, chapter 15, verse 4. For whatsoever things were written aforetime were written for our learning, that we, through patience and comfort of the scriptures, might have hope.
It's so heavy that you just brought that out, because if only he had just read these scriptures, if only he was, you know what I mean, then he would have patience and comfort. Right. He would. That's the reason why we, you know what I mean, that's the reason why we live so uncomfortable today.
Right.
Because if only he was just a little bit patient,
right,
you know what I mean, then he wouldn't have felt like the only solution for Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans was to integrate into society. He wouldn't have spent the last, you know what I mean, couple years of his life fighting to stand and sit next to your oppressor who hates you. You know what I mean, trying to get us closer to because like you said, you know what I mean, like you said, we had Black Wall Street. Right. I believe what Black Wall Street was, damn, I just looked up I believe it was like the 19, I can't remember. But what's so funny about the let me see if it's in my history. I just looked it up. But what's so funny? 1920. That's what I thought. 1921 is when Tulsa, Oklahoma was burned to the ground. Yep. For, you know what I mean, for the lies of the same white woman that Martin Luther King was trying to sleep with all those years. You know what I mean? But that's another topic. But guess what else was happening in 1921? Look up the Great Depression. Because what the brother was saying was so heavy. Like, and this is you said that we was already in the burning house. We was trying to get out the burning house.
Right.
Like we was out the burning house, because while our Black businesses, our Black cities, our Black towns, our Black millionaires was thriving, they were in the Great Depression. What did that day say?
1929 and 1939.
So while we were thriving, they were in the Great Depression. Right. Now, when was the Declaration? When was what was it called? The Alamo. What was the Alamo?
February 23rd, 1836.
Okay, but we came out of slavery. What was it, 1836? And about 100 years after that, after 100 years after, you know what I mean, our brothers and sisters was given, you know what I mean, well, so-called given our freedom from our oppressor, quote unquote. We had thriving Black businesses, and your oppressor immediately tanked into a Great Depression.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, like, I mean, this ain't, this not a coincidence.
Right.
You know what I mean? So like the brother said, we was, you know what I mean, we had a way out of the burning building.
Right.
We had a way out of the burning building. But because of Martin Luther King's dream, we integrated right back into that burning house that was destroying us, that burned down Tulsa, Oklahoma.
Right.
That, you know what I mean, that you know what I mean, had us being destroyed and, you know what I mean, fighting for our lives. The best condition that blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans have ever been is when we were separated from our oppressor and joined to one another. Let me get another stat if you don't mind. Who was the first black millionaire, or when was the first? As a matter of fact, look up Mary Ellen Pleasant. And when was she? What was the span of her?
Mary Ellen Pleasant. Let me see. This is Black Pass. Mary Ellen Pleasant, 1804. I'm assuming she was born in 1804 and died in 1904.
Uh-huh.
Let me see. Get that article. Mary Ellen Pleasant was born on August 19th, 1814 in Virginia and spent her early years in Nantucket, Massachusetts. She worked as a bond servant to the Hussey family, an abolitionist family.
Abolitionist.
Abolitionist family. She later married James Smith, a wealthy former plantation owner and an abolitionist. Mary Ellen and James worked on the Underground Railroad. After Smith's death for 4 years, Mary Ellen continued her work as a conductor on the Underground Railroad.
So if I'm not mistaken,
Yep, all right here. It says, with the help of clerk Thomas Bill, Miss Pleasant amassed a fortune by 1875 through her investments in various businesses by 1875. She also helped to establish the Bank of California.
So Mary, if I'm not mistaken, this is a sister that was you know what I mean, she is, I know, what's her name? I keep on wanting to say the wrong name. What is her name? The one that had the hair products.
C.J. Walker.
You can Madam C.J. Walker. Now everybody know who Madam C.J. Walker is. She was the sister with the hair products, and she was known to be the first black millionaire, but really it was Mary Ellen Pleasant, and she had you know what I mean, she was wealthy, and she aided the you know what I mean, she aided the, you know what I mean, the efforts of the Underground Railroad. You know what I mean? Please, you was about to say something.
Yeah, kind of. If I could, just to go into this, it says in the 1840s she was estimated to be $30 million what she was worth. But just this point right here, reading a couple of highlights, she was a wealthy black woman who used her fortune to help end slavery and fight for civil rights. She was known as the mother of civil rights in California. Now it's just going to show like how much of the history that they don't show us about our people was actually doing something during their time of their demise. You know what I'm saying? Like they were struggling and you know, about unaliving each other when we was thriving. You know what I'm saying? And just going back to your point, even in the class, like he led us into a burning house when we was good. You know what I'm saying? Salakia.
Right. No, that's the whole point. Like we was Salakia. See, we was all good. But because, you know what I mean, us having our own Salakia. Looking for this thing. But you know what I mean, we had our own, we was good.
Right.
We was good. We was in hell, but we was straight as long as we were separated from our oppressor.
Right.
And as long as we were separated, your oppressors started to tank into a Great Depression. So really, we think that you know what I mean, the civil rights movement and integrating into white society was for us. It really saved them.
Right.
It really pulled them out of a Great Depression, because without, you know what I mean, without Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American support, without Black, Hispanic, and Native American without Black, Hispanic, and Native American support, without Black, Hispanic, and Native American labor, without, you know what I mean, our expertise, you know what I mean, America was doomed
Right.
in poverty. You know what I mean? And meanwhile, we a few centuries, or it's like not a few decades removed from slavery, and now we 30 million
Right.
in the 1800s.
Right.
That is 30 million right now is a pretty little penny.
If I could,
Please.
it was 30 million back in the day, which would be worth close today to $1 billion.
Damn. Yeah, that's heavy right there. What's that precept? Like I'm looking for. What's that precept that say prophesy sweet things, prophesy deceits? Salaki. I'm trying to find it. But that's what you got to understand. And that's how that's how Martin Luther King and Donald Trump go hand in hand. Because just like they couldn't pull themselves out of that great oppression without blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, they can't make America so-called great again without blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
Right.
Donald Trump couldn't be in office today without black, Hispanic, and Native American votes. You know what I mean? Kamala Harris couldn't even thought she had a shot at you know what I mean, even running for the office, let alone, you know what I mean, winning without blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
Right.
Anytime a president is running for that office, you know what I mean? First of all, they try to placate to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. What Obama was doing for 8 years, he was shooting basketball and smoking. He used to smoke, you know what I mean. But he used to brag about it, like, yeah, I used to, you know what I mean, smoke cigarettes and Black and Milds, and you know what I mean. I like that's the you know what I mean, the bargaining chip,
Right.
where they try to relate to you. What did Biden say? If you don't vote for me, you're not black.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whole time he was the reason why you grew up without a father.
Right.
Why you never met your grandfather? Because he was locking up, you know what I mean? He was locking up blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans in droves. You know what I mean? But
I got that scripture for you.
oh, please.
This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 30 and verse 9. That this is a rebellious people, lying children that would not hear the law of the Lord.
See, this is the problem here. See, I almost said Donald Trump. Martin Luther King himself, after integrating blacks, after working so hard to integrate blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans into white society, he said that he feared that he integrated blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans into a burning house. And he don't know what to do, because integration ain't enough. Standing next to your oppressor ain't enough. Living in the same neighborhood as your oppressor and working in the same jobs as your oppressor, and you know what I mean, being able to sleep with their women and our sisters be able to sleep with their men, that's not enough to get blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans out of hell. You know what I mean, when there's still racism and discrimination and redlining and Planned Parenthood and, you know what I mean, these racial attacks on blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans.
Right.
You know what I mean, like you can't. The whole time, this is what Martin Luther King. This is coming out of the horse's mouth.
Right.
And just like, and that's just like a Christian. You know what I mean, where you can show them right there in their face what the Bible says, and they'll still believe what they want to believe.
Right.
And that's exactly how we've become with Martin Luther King.
Right.
Where Martin Luther King said that he fears that he's integrated his people into a burning house. But guess what? We still go out there on Martin Luther King Day and march and sing and dance and celebrate and watch that I Have a Dream speech. And we go to church and we, you know what I mean, wear our Sundays best. And, you know what I mean, we do all these goofy things in honor of Martin Luther King. Whole time he turning, you know what I mean? He like,
right,
this is not a good idea.
Right.
You know what I mean? As all them white women he was able to sleep with, this was not a good idea. You know what I mean? It's because of this right here. It's like, you read that again, Baba Shah?
God. Verse 9. That this is a rebellious people, lying children that will not hear the law of the Lord.
See, we're a rebellious people. When it's right there in your face. Just like, you know what I mean, you read this Bible, it says, where Christ says, I am not sent but unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. And he sent his disciples, go unto the lost sheep of the house of Israel. When that, you know what I mean? That's what Christ said. But in that Christian church, every Christian is convinced in their mind and heart and soul and with all their strength, they believe that Christ loved and died for everybody.
Right.
You know what I mean? You saw that debate with on with Captain Zaryak on No Fugazi. You know what I mean? The whole time, like and the last question was so heavy, and it just shows you like how first of all how arrogant a Christian is, and second of all, it just shows you that you know what I mean, it don't matter. Like, okay, so when you battling, right, you're hardly ever battling the thing you think you're battling.
Right.
When you battling somebody, you're battling the thing they want to do.
Right.
Like you're battling the lust that they want to do.
Right.
So the fact that, you know what I mean, Christians try to say God loves everybody when the Bible clearly, or when it, let me say this. I'm gonna use the same example. When the Christians try to say that Christ loves everybody and Christ died for everybody, what they're really saying is that they want the right and the freedom to be able to love and sleep with and frolic with their oppressor, just like Martin Luther King did. You know what I mean? Uh, that's what Martin Luther King did.
Right.
You know what I mean? But even though like the answer was right in front of him, even though the answer was right in front of him, you know what I mean? He was holding so tight to what he thought the Bible was saying. And like what if you listen to it like from beginning to end, like he didn't even understand what, you know what I mean, the stance of the Israelites are. Like he didn't even understand it.
Right.
And it took him, and he didn't even want to understand it. Like I'm gonna be honest, he debate like a woman.
Right.
Like how a woman argue.
Facts.
Like he just think that the louder you are, the more right you are.
Facts.
And he stopped like about 45 minutes to an hour into the debate. He was like, wait, I think I'm misunderstanding. Let me let me let you clarify. But if you would just listen from the beginning, you would understand the point we're trying to convey. But you just spent 50 minutes, you know what I mean, yelling and talking over and you know what I mean, throwing a tantrum to where you can't even understand what's right in front of you.
Right.
That's a Christian.
Right.
That's a Christian. And that was Martin Luther King right up until 5 days before he lost his life. And now he had a change of heart. And that's what you got to understand, man. We've become a stiff-necked and rebellious people, man. Go ahead, read on, Baba Kashan.
Verse 10, which say to the seers, see not.
Which say what?
Which say to the seers, see not.
Now, seer is a prophet. And they say, say to the seers, see not. So we're trying to show you in this Bible where, you know what I mean, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are the people of the Most High God, that the Most High God loves and that that needs salvation.
Right.
Because not everybody needs salvation. So salvation can't logically be for everybody because not everybody needs it. Not every nation of people needs it, but primarily the nation of people that need it is Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. And we're the only people who not only don't get it, but no one's concerned with us getting any salvation from any of the people who oppress us. You know why? Because every nation in this planet is trying to oppress you.
Right.
Is oppressing you, not trying to. They are oppressing you. You know what I mean? So don't nobody give a damn about the oppression of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. That's the name of the game.
Right.
That's the whole point. But whole time we saying, see not. You know what I mean? We trying to tell our brothers and sisters, you know what I mean, not to oppress them too, or not to try to push some, you know what I mean, some destructive ideology, but to try to help our people. Right. To galvanize our people. Like you're not just a nobody, but you have a culture, you have an identity, and you have a set of, with that culture and identity, you have practices. Right. You know what I mean? So we don't just eat anything. What's that? Let me Yawash, let me get Deuteronomy chapter 4, verse, I believe 6. God. Because what we got to understand, like, you know what I mean, we look at this Bible, or the people who don't understand this Bible, they look at it like all these laws, statutes, and commandments are meant to oppress us. Right. Like they supposed to, you know what I mean, these laws, statutes, and commandments are oppressive, and it's just too hard. You can't do all the law. Right. You know what I mean? But that's just not true. And not only is it not true, but it is very important for you to keep them and do them. And this is why.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 4, verse 6. Keep therefore and do them, For this is your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations.
This is your what?
In the sight of the nations.
Well, what is this? Keep therefore and do them for what?
For this is your wisdom.
This is your oppression.
This is your wisdom.
No, we gonna use this to abuse one another.
This is for your wisdom and your understanding in the sight of the nations.
So when you see these priests and prophets get up on that podium and we telling you what to do, to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments, to stop eating pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster, to stop celebrating these holidays, to, you know what I mean? Well, there's no need to honor Martin Luther King on Martin Luther King Day. There's no need to vote. You know what I mean? You don't need to put your black vote into the you know what I mean, into the political system. We're telling you this because this is your wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nations. Go ahead.
Which shall hear all these statutes and say, surely this great nation is a wise and understanding people.
See, this is when you see those prophets go out there, when you see those seers tell you what's in this Bible, unlike your Christian pastor, because they're not going to tell you what's in this Bible.
Right.
But when these seers, these priests and prophets in the Israelite school of universal practical knowledge tell you what's actually in here and how to follow these laws, statutes, and commandments, when they offer you counsel, when they show you where you can get the answers, when they show you, you know what I mean, it's a QR code right there where you can morning, noon, and night, you can ask all your questions.
Right.
When we offer these resources to you, when we offer you, you know what I mean, when we had these food drives and these clothes drives and, I mean, all these different things, you know what I mean, we're telling you that because we're trying to restore wisdom and understanding in the Black, Hispanic, and Native American community.
Right.
But what do our people say? Salaki, you reading that Isaiah again?
Which say to the seers, see not.
So when we go out there on that podium, we reject wisdom because we say we see them seers, we see them prophets, and we say, man, we don't want to hear that. You know what I mean? You go around your you know what I mean? We say all this holiday season, we've been trying to ruin your holiday. You know what I mean? And because even though you know that Thanksgiving is a celebration of the mass genocide of the Native Americans, you're like, yeah, I know what it means, but to me,
Right.
you know what I mean? You don't want to hear that. You don't want to hear that. Just let me eat my turkey and my ham, man. Go on with all that. You know what I mean? Go on with all that. I'm just trying to get high. You blowing my high.
Right.
Come on, I ain't trying to hear that.
Right.
You know what I mean? You do you do Christmas. You know it's a pagan holiday. You know it's a pagan holiday, but to me, it's just about gifts and the children. Come on, don't ruin the holiday. Come on, I ain't trying to hear that. Come on with all that. That's what you tell us. And same thing when we try to tell you about Martin Luther King, where he himself said, I fear that I integrated my people into a burning house. You say, I don't want to hear that. You say, see not. Go ahead, read on.
God. Prophesy not unto us right things.
Prophesy not unto us right thing. Now, what kind of, that sound like nonsense. That sound wild.
Right.
And it would almost be hard to believe if I wasn't seeing it right in front of my face today.
Right.
If we wasn't seeing it right in front of our face every day when we talk about the things that I just mentioned before, Thanksgiving, Halloween, Christmas, New Year's, Valentine's Day, Martin Luther King Day, and all those different things, getting high, eating pork, shrimp, crab, and lobster, and how we number one in all these diseases because we want to go in the LGBTQ community and do all these abominable things. You know what I mean? It would sound crazy if we wasn't doing all those, you know what I mean? If it wasn't right here in our face. But this is the type of time we own where we try to correct our people, and it don't matter what tone we use. You know what I mean? Whether we loud and boisterous with it, or if we calm and you know what I mean, if we calm and collected and patient, like you know what I mean, Captain Tazariak.
Right.
It don't matter how we coming with it. We reject this knowledge. Go ahead, Baba Shah.
Speak unto us smooth things.
So we want to hear sweet things and smooth things. Go ahead.
Prophesy deceits.
We want to hear deceits. We want to be deceived.
Right.
So we don't want to hear the truth about the matter. We want to be deceived. So even though Martin Luther King, he in 5 days before he lost his life, he tried to warn his people. He like, look, we might have messed up.
Right.
You know what I mean? We need to, you know what I mean? We might have messed up. We just looked at the dates. All our best, you know what I mean? All of our most successful years was between right after coming out of so-called slavery and right before integration. And your oppressor was in a Great Depression.
Right.
Was that it on that?
Kind of sit on that.
Now let me get the book of me get the book of Judges, the second chapter, real quick. I'm gonna show you why. I'm gonna show you why. I'm gonna show you why these things go hand in hand. The Donald Trump thing, every president that we had before then, and Martin Luther King. Right. Let me get Judges, second chapter, and it's gonna be toward the end. Let me see. Or actually, behold that. Let me get Deuteronomy chapter 7, and I think you can start at verse 3.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriage with them.
Uh-huh.
Oh, wait.
What does verse 2 say? Or start at 1.
Start at 1. The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 1. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee into the land whither thou goest to possess it, and cast out many nations before thee.
So this is right before, or this is right after, rather. This is right after the Exodus out of Egypt, where we were once in captivity in Egypt, being treated cruelly, and the oppressor, or Slacky, and the Most High, because he heard the cries of our people. You know what I mean? He heard that we were, you know what I mean, being oppressed in Egypt. He threw down Egypt. He threw down the empire of Egypt. You know what I mean, for our sakes. And then he said he did what?
He cast out many nations before thee.
Uh-huh.
The Hittites.
The Hittites. Go ahead.
The Hittites. And the Gershites.
Girgashites.
It's like it. And the Amorites.
Uh-huh.
And the Canaanites.
Uh-huh.
And the Perizzites.
Uh-huh.
And the Hittites.
And
Hittites. How you say that?
Or the Hivites.
Hivites. That's like it. And the Jebusites. 7 nations greater and mightier than thou.
Now remember those nations, because that's going to be very important here in a second when we're about to pull up. Go ahead, read on. See if I can find this.
Verse 2. And when the God, like when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee, thou shalt smite them and utterly destroy them. Thou shalt make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them.
Uh-huh.
Verse 3.
This is what we're supposed to chapter 3 and verse 5. Or actually, not quite yet. We're gonna stay in verse 2, Slacky. Verse 2, chapter 2 and verse I'm Slacky. You stay where you at. Where'd you finish at?
I finished off. I ain't read 3 yet. I'm gonna stop on 3.
Okay, go ahead, read on.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriage with them. Thy daughters thou shalt not give unto his son, nor his daughter shalt thou take unto thy son.
See, this is what we were supposed to do. When we went into this land, this is the land that the Most High was giving to us. And he said that we were supposed to drive these other nations out. And we are not supposed to make marriages with them. We're not supposed to give their sons to our daughters, or we're not supposed to take their sons to our daughters, nor give our sons to their daughters. You know what I mean? We weren't supposed to make no marriages with them, make no covenant with them. We wasn't supposed to serve their gods. We weren't supposed to do none of those things.
Right.
We were supposed to have this land and to, you know what I mean, establish the nation of Israel,
right,
and grow and build from there. You know what I mean? But what you got to understand is the downfall of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans has always been, I mean, in this Bible, it's always been us integrating. It's always been us integrating. Let me get that Judges chapter 2 and verse. You can start at verse 1.
God, it's the book of Judges, chapter 2 and verse 1. And an angel of the Lord came up from Gilgal to Bochum and said, I made you to go out of Egypt and have brought you unto the land which I swear unto your fathers. And I said, I will never break my covenant with you.
So this is the whole point. This is what we just read in Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter. When the Most High brought us into this land, we were supposed to, like I said, we were supposed to drive out these nations and completely separate from them and do our own thing that the Most High gave us. Go ahead.
Verse 2. And ye shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land.
And you shall do what?
Ye shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land.
What does ye shall make no league with the inhabitants of this land mean? What does that sound like? We'll give it a shot.
Yeah, I would say we should make no league with this habitat of the land. I would say like we should be separate. We should make like just like Moses gave us a covenant.
Use a word that's right on topic.
Right.
Right on topic, based on what today is supposedly all about. The word that we've been constantly using.
Yeah, we should be separate. Be holy.
What's the opposite of separate though?
With joining.
If I could, that we should not integrate with the inhabitants.
Give him a hand.
Right.
From the beginning, the Most High told us not to integrate. He said we're not to integrate with these people. He separated us from the beginning, all the way from Adam. You know what I mean?
Right.
He separated us from all those other nations. Please.
That's the reason why he destroyed the flood. That's why he destroyed it with the flood. Because we try to integrate it. We try to integrate with the other nations.
Come on. That's the whole point right there.
See, we see what he did, the destruction he brought to us.
Come on.
We try to integrate. You know what I'm saying? That's lessons learned right there.
Come on. See, what's so heavy about that is because Christianity is just such a circus. Christianity is a circus where they'll read that. They'll read, I believe it's Genesis the 6th chapter, where they'll read that and they think that angels came down from heaven and slept with people and was having angel babies, which based on the book of I believe it's Corinthians, angels and people can't sleep with one another.
Right.
Just like a fish and a dog can't sleep with one another.
Right.
Just like a elephant and a cow can't make a baby, or a jellyfish and a bird can't make a baby.
Right.
You know what I mean? But that, like the brother just said, that's talking about integration. And the Most High destroyed the earth with water because of interracial marriage, because we were integrating. We were integrating with these people. But the Most High, from the beginning, intended for us to remain separate. It's like it. You might read no about
Verse 3. Wherefore I also said, I will not drive them out from before you.
So that was another thing we did. So not only did we he said make no league with these inhabitations of the land, but we didn't drive them out. So they was living amongst us.
Right.
Go ahead.
But they shall be as thorns in your side,
right?
And their God shall be a snare unto you.
So because we didn't drive them out, the Most High said, no sweat, I'm not going to drive them out there.
Right.
Since you want to be around them, then you're going to be around them, and they're going to be a thorn in your side. And their God shall be a snare unto you. Go ahead. Where is it? Salakia. It's one part that I'm missing. Where it says, I believe in the next chapter it says that he's going to use these nations to prove Israel.
Oh,
did we miss that part, or is it in the next chapter?
No, we haven't got to it yet.
Okay, no sweat. Well, where we at? Oh, go ahead and drop down the verse 10.
Okay.
Are you?
Oh no, it's in the next chapter. What you looking for?
Okay, Most High Christ.
You said verse 10.
Yeah. Judges chapter 2 and verse 10.
Verse 10. And also, all that generation were gathered unto their fathers, and there arose another generation after them,
right?
Which knew not the Lord.
Which what?
Which knew not the Lord,
right?
Nor yet the works which he had done for Israel,
right? So this new generation, you know what I mean? This new generation rose up, and they didn't know the Lord. Go ahead. What did they do?
And the children of Israel did evil in the sight of the Lord and served Baalim.
And they did evil in the sight of the Lord and served Balaam, or Baalim in the Hebrew,
right?
Which is if you see it in the scriptures, it's used to refer to like gods. Baal is like a false idol. Baalim is plural. So I believe Baal was an agriculture god, and over time it started to be used just to refer to just false idols in general, and then the Yum is plural.
Right.
So we started to, long story short, we started to serve other gods. We started to build these idols, and started to do what these other nations were doing. We started to, these other nations and their gods started to become a snare unto us, just like the angel prophesied at the top of the chapter.
Right.
You know what I mean? And that's exactly what you see in America. Like because we integrated with our oppressor, then instead of having our own restaurants, what we do? We working at Ruth Chris.
Right.
And we working at Steak 42, and what's his name? Jeff Ruby's, and
Right.
and you know what I mean? And we work, we instead of having our own, engineering, we working for Elon Musk. Instead of having our own warehouses and large Fortune 500 business, we working for Jeff Bezos, and things like that. Even though the minds of Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans are propping up America, and the large corporations in America, we don't own anything.
Right.
We serving our oppressors. So our oppressors, us integrating with our oppressor, it's been a snare to us. Where instead of, what was the Montgomery boycott, right? So the reason why the Montgomery boycott was so successful is because I believe Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans made up, I believe, 75% of the revenue that was going into that what's it called, that industry, kind of the transportation industry. 75% of our, I believe it might have been more, but 75% of Black, Hispanic, and Native American dollars was going into that transportation industry. And once we boycotted that bus, they started to lose so much money. And what we was doing, we was carpooling with one another. Right. We was driving one another around and doing all sorts of things. We was still getting back and forth, but we wasn't giving our dollar to our oppressor. What was the Montgomery boycott? That was a segregating again.
Right.
That was a separating.
Right.
But because the whole goal was to integrate, the whole mission behind that was to influence integration. Instead of our black dollar going back into the black neighborhood, now we pour it back into the transportation industry.
Right.
Now we give it right back to our oppressors. And now what do we have? What do we have? Nothing. They say the black dollar stays in the black neighborhood, what is 7 minutes?
Right. Right.
You know what I mean? Like, our money doesn't stay within our people for very long. I mean, who has our money? Who are we giving our money to? We giving our money to because we wanted to integrate. We love a melting pot because you just had to have that. You just had to have that Asian wife. You know what I mean? Now you living in a neighborhood where you got an Asian restaurant right there. You know what I mean? All the black clubs. You know what I mean? That where Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans hang out. Guess who's running them?
Right.
The Moab.
Right.
Ammon. You know what I mean? Who frying that chicken back there?
Right.
You know what I mean? Ammon, Moab. Your oppressors. You know what I mean? Who's selling you your hair? Elam, the so-called East Indian, or the so-called Hamites, the Africans. You know what I mean? What else? What other industries? You know what I mean? Like, because we wanted to integrate now our money, our dollar, the thing that we could be using to prop ourselves up like we did in the early 1920s.
Right.
The black dollar that we could have used to prop ourselves up like we did then, we can't because we're pouring it into our oppressors' communities, all for the sake of integration.
Right.
And we couldn't have done it without Martin Luther King. Where was we at?
Verse 12.
Babasha.
Khan, it's the book of Judges, chapter 2 and verse 12. And they forsook the Lord God of their fathers, which brought them out of the land of Egypt.
So we forgot about, you know what I mean, the Most High who brought us out of Egypt. You know what I mean? Go ahead.
And followed other gods.
There you go, right there. We followed other gods. Go ahead.
Of the gods of the people that were round about them.
So of the gods of the people that were round about them, the gods of the people that we integrated with. So now does it make sense why there's a white Jesus on every black church?
Right.
You know what I mean? There's a white Jesus in every black household. You know what I mean? But there's no black father.
Right. Damn.
There's a white man. There's a white Jesus. There's a white God in there.
Good night.
But there's no black father in the home. You know what I mean? because we follow the gods of the once we integrate with another nation of people, we are we have no choice but to concede to following their gods, and that's what happened to us time and
Right.
time again.
Yeah.
And what you'll see in the book of Judges is that it's just a pattern over and over and over again. I believe in this chapter alone, it happens about 2 or 3 more times where we forsake the Most High God, and we serve these other nations' gods. And what else do we do?
God. Of the gods of the people that were round about them, and bowed themselves unto them,
And did what?
and bowed themselves unto them.
And this is what you got to understand, black man, Hispanic man, and Native American man. When you become Buddhist, when you become an what's it called, a Muslim, when you become a Christian, when you become, you know what I mean, when you serve another nation's gods, you concede to the idea that that nation who that God belongs to is better than you.
Right.
You can't serve Christianity and a white God and not think in your mind that white people are superior to you.
Right.
That's where white supremacy comes from. Integration. And now you're serving, instead of serving your God who told you to separate, now you're trying to join your oppressor. Right. And they end up over you. That's, you know what I mean, when we become Muslims, you're conceding to that Muslim God that you're saying that the Arabs are better than you.
Right.
You can't be the Lord, or you can't be the Lord's chosen people and how he intended you to be, which is did we already read Deuteronomy chapter 7 and verse you holding anything? Go to verse 6. Baba Kasha. Because this is the whole point right here. This is what the Most High intended. But if you choose the opposite of what the Most High was trying to give us, then this is what we got. This is what we got to look forward to. Captivity. Where you Con. This is what we got to look forward to. Where, you know what I mean, you live in a world where you're terrified of the police. And guess who just got inaugurated in office? The man who is a 34 count felon and is also wanting to give full immunity to the police who take your life and is already getting paid for it.
Right.
Now they, you know what I mean, they at least was, you know what I mean, going to court, sitting down in a, you know what I mean, in a holding cell for a little bit, or, you know what I mean, it was at least looking like they was getting, you know what I mean, some sort of reprimand, being reprimanded in some way. But he wants to give them full immunity. He said, don't be gentle with these criminals. When you put them in the car, you know what I mean, rough them up a little bit. Bump their head on the damn side of the car when you put them in the car. You know what I mean, as if they're not already rough enough on you. But guess what? Because of Martin Luther King's dream, your black vote, you know what I mean, was the bedrock of every president that, you know what I mean, that pushed the LGBTQ community, that pushed the 3 strikes law and the mass incarceration of blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, who you know what I mean, who is all for the police brutality that happens to blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans. The black vote, and because of your integration, is the bedrock and the foundation of American politics.
Right.
Slakia, go ahead, read what you got.
This is the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
See, this is what the Most High intended. You might need to bring the mic a little bit closer to you.
Verse 6. For thou art an holy people unto the Lord thy God.
See, that word holy means separate.
Right.
You know what I mean? I know we pulled it enough times, you know what I mean, in these classes for brothers and sisters that at least know that. You know what I mean? That word holy in the Zondervan Bible dictionary means separate.
Right.
It means separate. You are a separate people. You're not an integrated people.
Right.
You are a separate people unto the Most High God. Go ahead.
The Lord thy God had chosen thee to be a special people.
He chosen you to be a what people?
A special people.
Nah, God loves everybody equally.
They're special people.
Nah, but we all the same. I had a dream.
To be a special people.
Now we equality.
To be a special people.
Ain't that what this is all about? Ain't that what this day is about? Where we was finally fighting for equality. What did that say?
To be a special people.
The Most High got better plan for you, brother, sisters.
Right.
I mean, you are supposed to be a special people. Go ahead.
unto himself
Unto himself, unto the Most High God. You know what I mean? The Most High chose you for himself. Go ahead.
above all people,
Nah, equal to.
above all people,
Nah, integrated with.
above all people
Uh-huh.
that are upon the face of the earth.
See, this is what the Christian church misses. This is what the Christian church missed, that you are supposed to be above all people. And this is what Martin Luther King missed until 5 days before he lost his life.
Right.
Then he started to remember who his enemy was.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like if it, you know what I mean? If the dog's on your behind, I know a dog, you know what I mean, biting you on your tail. I know that'll wake somebody up.
Right.
That'll make you realize something. Like these people is crazy. They got water hoses.
Good night.
You know what I mean? Spraying you with water hoses, beating you over the head with a billy club, and pouring hot coffee on you. That would think the hot coffee on your rod would, you would think that would wake you up and be like, hey, hold up, look now, look. You would think that would wake you up,
Right.
but it took for him to, you know, what I mean, 5 days before he lost his life to be like, you know what, maybe we shouldn't have integrated. You know what I mean? And that's Christianity,
Right.
where you ignore certain things. You ignore what's in this Bible. You ignore what's in this Bible to fulfill your lust. And then, like every Christian, because Christians said, if you just repent and you just claim Jesus Christ as your Lord and Savior, you could be the worst type of person. You know what I mean? You could be the worst type of person. You could be a unaliver.
Right.
You could be a sexual. You could perform all the sexual misconduct, the LGBTQ, and you can be a thief and all these diabolical things. But as on your deathbed, you can. I believe, Lord,
Right.
take me to the great by and by,
And that's it.
and that's it.
Good night.
You know what I mean? That's what because the Christian church taught you that. Martin Luther King adopted that.
Right.
And that's how he lived his life. Well, he lived his entire life, or he performed his entire career. I mean, living out his lust, and then right before he was gonna lose his life, he had a change of heart. Well, he started to realize what was in his Bible.
Right.
Is it? You was about to say something?
Oh, la.
Is there anything in the chat worth addressing or anything like that?
La. No, nothing in the chat.
Okay, I'm trying to figure out where these hecklers is at.
They're watching.
Yeah. Oh, Most High Christ. Yes, go ahead. Don't what old boy say? He said, "Don't be a ninja, a ninja watcher."
Right.
You know what I mean? Go ahead. You know what I mean? Like the channel. You know, put your comments in here. Share it with your peers and all of that. But the Most High wanted us to be separate from the beginning.
Right.
Now let's go back to that Judges. Let's see.
Judges 2.
In verse, I believe it was at 12.
13. This is the book of Judges, chapter 2, and verse 13. And they forsook the Lord and served Baal and Ashtaroth.
Right. I can't off top of my head, I can't remember exactly what Ashtaroth. I think that was just the name of another god.
Right.
But go ahead.
And the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel, and he delivered them into the hands of the spoilers that spoiled them.
So because you wanted to integrate with them, the Lord delivered you into their hands. Because you wanted that, right? You wanted to be so close to them. You wanted to be delivered to them, right? You know what I mean? That's what the marches was for, so that we could be delivered into white society. So that's, you know what I mean? That's where the Most High delivered us into. Like, all right, no sweat. These people was going upside your head and pouring hot coffee on you and hitting you with water hoses and fire hydrants and, you know what I mean, hitting your kids upside the head with a billy club, and you still fought to integrate with them. So go ahead. So now, guess what they doing? They hit you upside the head with the billy club, pouring hot coffee on you, putting the knee on your neck and busting you upside your head when they put you in the back of that car and locking you up for a crime you didn't commit. And then, you know what I mean, after logging it into the FBI records that, you know what I mean, you're arrested, and trying to paint the stats as if you are the biggest criminal, you know what I mean, in the world, they are then having to exonerate you for these crimes because you didn't commit them. Right. So now you look at these statistics, and now you got brothers like Cooley, you know what I mean, saying that black people commit most of the crime. You know what I mean? That's white supremacy playing the trick on you. And guess what? Cool brothers like that, And you know what I mean, brothers who you know what I mean love our oppressor, they're not gonna realize the type of hell that they are creating for
Right.
them families
Right.
and for their children until they on their deathbed,
Right.
until they are 5 days away from losing their own life. And then they're gonna realize that you know what I mean, choosing my oppressor, you know what I mean, teaching my children all these evil holidays and all these evil customs, you know what I mean, they gonna realize them Israelites was right.
Right.
Them Israelites was right, but it's gonna be too late because you know what I mean. What the scriptures say? You know what I mean, the Lord get His glory from the living. Paraphrasing.
Right.
I mean, you can't be. I mean, what glory can the Most High get from you if you lose your life?
Right.
You know what I mean, you supposed to have that realization while you alive,
Right.
while we're telling you and prophesying these things to you. But the evil generation says, "See not, prophesy deceit, prophesy lies." You know what I mean? Please.
If I could, please, I still don't understand it. How it was us standing in the line, locking elbows together, getting sprayed on with the water. That's you proving to the oppressor that they should love you no matter what they do to you. Like I never understood that.
Good night.
After coming out of slavery, after us being freed a couple years, then Tulsa, Oklahoma happened, the bombings happened, us still getting lynched, and we're standing there getting abused, and to prove to the oppressor, no matter what you do to me, I'm still gonna love you. Was that the dream? Like I don't understand this. Like it.
That's an excellent question because I look your guess is as good as mine, brother. Go ahead. Yeah, man, it's just it's crazy. Like we really wanted them. You know what I mean? We really wanted the white women, huh?
Good night.
Like it was really worth it. And that's like you fast forward to today. You know what I mean? You look at the lengths that we will go to. You know what I mean? To try to have interracial marriages.
Right.
You know what I mean? Look at the length that we'll go to, you know what I mean, try to have the perfect Christmas or try to
Damn.
where, you know what I mean, we going bankrupt and our January bill sky high because all the foolishness we was doing in December.
Right.
You know what I mean? We're going through all these lengths just to try to have a taste of our oppressor's culture, man. It's crazy and it don't make sense like the brother just said. Where we at?
2 and 14.
Baba Shah.
Con, and he sold them into the hands of their enemies round about,
Uh-huh.
that so that they could not any longer stand before their enemies.
We was out here. We was down bad.
Right.
We was down. Let me verse 16, Baba Shah.
Verse 16. Nevertheless, the Lord raised up
The
judges.
Lord did what?
The Lord raised up judges,
Uh-huh.
which delivered them out of the hand of those that spoiled them.
See, this is what the brothers in the ISUPK are trying to do.
Right.
You know what I mean, we trying to deliver our people out from the hands of those who spoil us. You know what I mean? That's what Captain Zarek was trying to do. In that debate, he was trying to deliver blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans out of the hands of those that spoil us.
Right.
You know what I mean? Our oppressor is spoiling us. They are taking advantage of us. And then, you know what I mean, right after they destroy us and take advantage of us, we, like the brother just said, we locking arms and
Right.
we shall overcome and humming and singing and waiting for the next abuse.
Good night.
We willing to take it until they love us. You know what I mean? And then the little crumb that they give us, you know what I mean? We think that means that they love us when in reality, you know what I mean? That's just what it is. It's just a crumb. You know what I mean? It's just a way to be able to, you know what I mean, use you for the next thing. You know what I mean? Like when they wanna what's it called? When they wanna elect a 34 count felon into office, or when they want to elect a Hamite, LGBTQ Hamite into office. You know what I mean? When they want to elect the Elamite posing as a black woman into office, they're going to lean on you. Then as soon as they get that vote, watch. They had what's it called? They had what Snoop Dogg,
Right.
who else was it? Snoop Dogg, Soldier Boy, Rick Ross. You know what I mean? All these black musicians performing for Donald Trump. You know what I mean? After what Snoop Dogg, he was bobbing his head, it was F Donald Trump.
Right.
I mean, he had a whole diss track, and for, you know what I mean, in 2017, he was fully against Donald Trump. You know what I mean? They gave him a little crumb, and then now, you know what I mean, he performing. And watch, he gonna get in that office, and what is he gonna do? He is going to do everything whatever it takes to make sure the crumb that you get is all you get.
Right.
You know what I mean? Whatever crumb he gives you, that's gonna be all you get. You know what I mean? And watch, you're gonna see it. You're gonna see it. You're gonna see the mass. You're gonna see how rough these police start to get with blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans,
Right.
the Lord's chosen people.
Right.
You'll see how he start to treat these so-called these Mexicans who, you know what I mean, just a week ago they was flying over in helicopters, you know what I mean, trying to put down put the fires out of your greedy, you know what I mean, your the Southern California, out of your greedy cities. You know what I mean? Saving your behind. Watch how cruel he is. He's gonna be to the so-called Mexicans. You know what I mean? Where your solidarity with your oppressor means nothing. That's what you gotta understand, black man, Hispanic man, and Native American man.
Right.
Your solidarity with your oppressor means nothing.
Right.
And it's gonna do nothing but put you back in the same position that you don't want to be in. Which is
Right.
captivity and destroyed. Or
If I could.
please.
Now, just to add to that point, you know what I'm saying? Like, even with that, the solidarity means nothing because I'm still just over here thinking about it. It's almost like we did when we left out of Egypt, when we was murmuring against the Lord and saying we would rather go back, you know, to Egypt, to the flesh pots. We did all this, you know what I'm saying? Like, this in the 1900s, 1800s, where slavery was fresh on our mind. Well, we could still see it. We fought to get out of slavery just to go back into it. You know what I'm saying? Like, that solidarity means nothing going back to your oppressor, man, because you know what I'm saying? He's gonna gain everything. Like, that was the beginning. That they should have seen that as the beginning of what we call as Stockholm syndrome. So, like, yeah.
No, that was heavy. Give him a hand. That was so heavy right there. Like, that's what he just said. Like, that we doing exactly what we did when we came out of Egypt. Like, we fought we was crying just like we doing right here. Like, we about to read it in a second. Well, we doing all this crying. Like, the Lord, we begging the Lord to help us and save us out of this captivity from these people that are spoiling us and destroying us. The moment we get out of this captivity, what do? You know what I mean? We beg to go back.
Right.
You know what I mean? Even though in what was it? 1875, we had the first black millionaire.
Right.
You know what I mean? Today she would be a billionaire.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then what? By what was it? You know what I mean? We go right, what, 30, about a decade or so, like a century after that, we go right back into captivity.
Right.
Salakia, go ahead, read on.
Verse 17. And yet they would not hearken unto their judges, but they went a whoring after other gods and bowed themselves unto them.
Uh-huh.
They turned quickly out of the way which their fathers walked in.
See, Salakia. See, this bow, when it says they went a whoring after other gods and bowed themselves unto them, that's so spiritual. That's so heavy because, like we said earlier, when you serve another person, when you like it, we think it's such freedom to be able to, well, what they say, freedom of religion. You could be whatever religion that you want. You can serve whatever God that you want. You know what I mean? We think that's just so much freedom where you can, you know what I mean? So much so that we serving every single God. We want to dibble and dabble in everything. And we think that's what the most intelligent people do, where you read everything. I read a little bit of everything. I'm in a little bit of everything. You know what I mean? So we a little bit of Muslim, we a little bit Catholic, we a little bit Christian, we a little bit Hindu, we a little bit spiritual. You know what I mean? We a little bit Israelite. You know what I mean? But what you don't realize is when you serve these other gods, when you become these other religions, you bow yourself to them.
Right.
You cannot serve another nation's God and be equal to them. And you damn sure can't serve another nation's God and be above them.
Right.
Be greater than them in any way. The only thing that you can be while you're serving another nation's God is be a second-class citizen to that nation.
That's right.
Go ahead.
Verse Salakia. Turn quickly out of the way which their fathers walked in, obeying the commandments of the Lord, but they did not so. Verse 18. And when the Lord raised them up judges And the Lord was with the judge
Uh-huh.
and delivered them out of the hand of their enemies all the days of the judge. For it repented the Lord because of their groanings, by reason of them that oppressed them and vexed them.
Uh-huh. So we beg to, you know what I mean? We beg to be with these people. We beg to be with these other nations and intermarry with them and serve their other gods and all of that. The Most High gave us judges. We rejected those judges. You know what I mean? Like we do today. You know what I mean? We integrated, you know what I mean? We wanted to integrate and then they started to sting us. They started to hurt us
Right.
like they always do.
Right.
And then the Most High, the judges, or the Most High was with the judges that he appointed and brought us out of this captivity. You know what I mean? Out of mercy. You know what I mean? Brought us out of that hellish condition that we was in. So that we can, let me see. As a matter of fact, we're about to be in the next verse. I'll go ahead and read it while you get that together.
All right.
So verse 19, and it came to pass when the judge was dead that they returned and corrupted themselves more than their fathers, and the following other gods to serve them and to bow down unto them. See, this is there you go, bow down to them again. I mean, anytime you serve another nation's God, you are bowing down to that nation. That's the only option that you have. You know what I mean? And this is right after, you know what I mean? We begged to integrate with our oppressor, and then we integrated, and then our oppressor started to mistreat us like they always do. And then, you know what I mean? The Most High brought us out of that condition, and then we started to go back and do worse than our forefathers. When them judges passed, you know what I mean? When the prophets passed, we went right back into what we was doing. And then verse 20, and the anger of the Lord was hot against Israel. And he said, because that this people have voice, 21, I also will not henceforth drive out any from before. See, this is the point. When you have these other nations around you, when you got these other nations around you, you got to understand that the Most High is testing you. He's going to see what you're going to do with these other nations.
Right.
Because the Most High already gave you the instructions. The Most High gave you these instructions. He told you what to do and how you should move. What's that, Christ? But he told you how you should move. He told you exactly what to do. We just read it out the book of Deuteronomy, the 7th chapter.
Right.
He said, thou art a holy people unto the Most High God. You know what I mean? He has chosen you to be above all people upon the face of the earth. In Deuteronomy, the 4th chapter, it said, keep therefore and do all these laws, statutes, and commandments, which are your wisdom and understanding in the sight of the nation. So he gave you the blueprint.
Right.
You know what I mean? So now, verse 22.
Okay. Verse 22, that through them I may prove Israel, whether they will keep the way of the Lord to walk therein as their fathers did keep it or not.
So that's the whole point. When you see these other nations, you're not supposed to integrate. You suppose that's a test. You know what I mean? You surrounded by all these, you know what I mean, these other nations, especially, you know what I mean? The hardest thing for a black man, you know what I mean, nowadays to do is to not marry them. You know what I mean? Because you know what I mean, ain't nobody say that these other nations women wouldn't be beautiful.
Right.
You know what I mean? But when these nations is around you, the Most High trying to see what you made of and what you gonna do.
Right.
Go ahead, or Slakia. Let me see. All right, let's get Judges 3 and let me see. Salakia. 3 and 5.
This is the book of Judges, chapter 3 and verse 5. And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites.
Wait, go ahead to go back to Deuteronomy 7 and 3 again. Because this is the whole point right here. Right? Because the Most High told us again from the beginning, he told us what to do when we saw these other nations. And this can't be a coincidence. Go ahead, read that real quick.
In the book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriage with them. Thy daughter thou shalt not.
Oh, is it verse 2 with the nations?
It's in verse 1.
Okay, go ahead.
The book of Deuteronomy, chapter 7, verse 1. When the Lord thy God shall bring thee
Uh-huh.
into the land where thou goest to possess it, and had cast out many nations before thee, the Hittites,
Uh-huh. The Hittites.
Hittites, and the Gershites,
Uh-huh. Girgashites.
Gershites, and the Amorites,
Uh-huh.
and the Canaanites,
Uh-huh.
and the Perizzites, and the Hittites, and the Jebusites,
Jebusites. Right. All of those nations. Go ahead.
7 nations greater and mightier than thou.
Go ahead. Read on.
Verse 2. And when the Lord thy God shall deliver them before thee,
Uh-huh.
thou shalt smite them,
Thou shalt integrate.
Go
ahead.
and utterly destroy them.
Uh-huh. That don't do that mean integrate? So one of these words gotta be integrate.
Right.
Right.
And utterly destroy
And
them.
utterly destroy them. Go ahead.
Thou shalt make no covenant with them.
Thou shalt do what?
Make no covenant with them.
I think integration is a covenant. I think signing a treaty is a covenant.
Right.
You know what I mean? Go ahead.
Make no covenant with them, nor show mercy unto them.
Uh-huh. Go ahead.
Verse 3. Neither shalt thou make marriage with them.
That's that's the key component. That's the main vehicle of integration.
Right.
You know what I mean? That's all we want to do. Where we just want to sleep with these. That's all you see on you know what I mean, in black TV. Where you gotta be a interracial black. It's like an interracial black LGBTQ couple in every black show, every black cartoon or cartoons in general. You know what I mean? Well, that's what we got to do. We got to integrate with their culture and how they do things. You know what I mean? Please.
It's like I'm just reading the scripture. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong. This is Most High is speaking with Moses. You know what I'm saying?
Uh-huh.
Like this sound to me. These sound like commandments. It's like he's commanding. Like you know what I'm saying? It's like commandments. Like these are things that we need to follow. You know what I'm saying? Like and you were saying that. Like you were saying, join hand in hand. We always and like we trying to like we try to marry the oppressor. You know what I'm saying? Like he's saying it here, like, dude, marry your own kind, man. I get shit. You got 12 tribes of Israel. Now we can see, you know how many tribes, how many women we got there now. You know what I'm saying? And you still looking for the oppressor to marry? Man, you got, I said, that's definitely Stockholm syndrome. Like I'm saying, that's in the worst matter. You know what I'm saying? You got all these women, beautiful women out of 12 tribes, and you still going to oppress them. You have a serious problem.
No, that's what he said was so. Give him a hand. Damn. You wanted to say something?
Yeah, no, if I could. Now that was absolutely heavy what you said about the marriages, you know what I'm saying, being a vehicle. You know, that's the Uber to integration. You know what I'm saying? Like we're not marrying them. Like you know, you can go and do business, you know what I'm saying, with the oppressors all time. You know what I'm saying? Like that's okay. To go and do a business with them, you know what I'm saying, trade with them. You know what I'm saying? You got brothers in the school that do business with oppressors all the time that we're not joining together with them. But this vehicle right here is a hands-free motion. You know what I'm saying? You trying to integrate with, you trying to get with their women, and you trying to, you know what I'm saying, get with those men and make marriages with them. That's the vehicle, you know what I'm saying, to the downfall. So like
what he said was absolutely heavy. Give him a hand. Let me get Matthew 6:24 real quick. And what y'all saying is so heavy. Actually, damn. Okay, real quick before you go there, let's get them nations that we was just in Judges 3 and 5.
This is the book of Judges, chapter 3 and verse 5. And the children of Israel dwelt among the Canaanites, Hittites, and Amorites, and Perizzites, and Hivites, and Jebusites.
Now, don't that sound familiar?
Right.
Ain't these all the nations that the Most High told us to drive out? And what else did we do?
And they took their daughters to be their wives.
We did what?
And took their daughters to be their wives.
Ain't this what the Most High told us not to do?
Good night.
And what else? What did we do?
And gave their daughters to their sons.
Oh my God! And because we interracially married, what do we end up doing?
And served their gods.
Oh my God! I can't. I mean, it's right there.
Right.
God, it's damn sure not my words. You absolutely correct. I mean, it's right there, and I'm just reading it.
Right.
I mean, but it's it's right there in black and white. And if only Christianity had been kind to black, as if only your black Christian pastors have been kind to one another and read this Bible. You know what I mean? If only Christianity had been kinder to Black, Hispanic, and Native Americans and taught them the truth, opened this Bible and showed you what's actually in here.
Right.
If only what Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, if only he had performed his duty as a quote unquote reverend and read this Bible and taught Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans the truth therein, then maybe we could have avoided a whole bunch of hell and avoided being integrated into a burning house.
Right.
That he was powerless to save us from, because he, you know what I mean, he was murdered. It's like he lost his life 5 days later.
Right.
You know what I mean? Go ahead and read what you got. Come.
It's like it. It's the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 24. No man can serve two masters.
This is what you got to understand about integration and how dangerous it is. Like we just read in the Bible. We just read in the Bible how when we decided to integrate with these other nations, we cleaved unto them and bowed ourselves to their gods and bowed ourselves to them, and we forsook our own people. You know what I mean? We saw in the you know what I mean, century after, you know what I mean, removed from slavery, we started to have Black millionaires and, you know what I mean, started to build our own societies and our own cities and towns and thriving engineers and doctors and lawyers and things like that. We were skilled. But then as soon as we started to want to integrate with our oppressor, or while we were separated rather, you know what I mean, they were in a great depression. But then as soon as we decided to integrate, then we lost all of those things. Right. We forsook our own people when we decided to integrate with them. That's exactly what you see here. Like Officer Yediah, you know what I mean, brought out something extremely heavy. Where in that No Fugazi podcast is primarily I believe when it first came out, it was primarily revolving around like chastising and checking these sisters. That was pretty much what it was about. It was a whole battle of the sexes. And you know what I mean? It's I know our sisters could be a little hard headed, and sometimes they could get a check and in the right spirit. You know what I mean? But this brother, I believe on one of his podcasts, he said that you shouldn't. No Black man should marry or sleep with or marry a sister with children. Meanwhile, he done got him a little devil and with kids.
Right.
You know what I mean? So, read that again. What you got?
It's the book of Matthew, chapter 6, verse 24. No man can serve two masters, for either he will hate the one and love the other.
So you can't serve two masters. You can't integrate with your oppressor and still love your own people. I'll give you another example. Who was it? You know what I mean? Who was them damn what the hell was there? I believe what was it? It was a rapper, some stud rappers and a couple, and they adopted some Edomite baby rather than adopting some, and they shouldn't be, you know what I mean? You shouldn't be raised by no LGBTQ family, no way. But point is, you know what I mean? When we the brat, I believe it is the brat, and she said she don't want no black baby because she don't want no Jiminy Cricket looking baby. And she didn't rescue some Edomite baby out of some foster home. And I mean that's what we do because we want to integrate with one another, with our oppressor. You know what I mean? We forsake our own people. This is what you got to understand about integration. No man can serve two masters, for either you will hate the one and love the other. Right. So if you integrate with your oppressor, you're either going to hate your own people and love your oppressor, or the only other option is to hate your oppressor and love your own people. There's no way you can do both.
Right.
You know what I mean? There's either you're going to rule over these other nations, or you're going to serve with these other nations. You can't do both. You can't, you know what I mean, stand next to these other nations and sing kumbaya. It don't work like that. Right. Go ahead, read on.
Or else he will hold to the one and despise the other.
You will hold to the one and despise the other. Go ahead.
Ye cannot serve God and mammon.
You cannot serve God and mammon. Mammon is just ill-gotten money. You
Right.
know what's heavy about you know what I mean, the Martin Luther King, uh, the integration and this whole you know what I mean, the whole Donald Trump thing or the voting and all of that. We did it off of we did it for money. We did it for money. Where you think that if you get you when you get you a white woman or you get you a white man, you know what I mean, your credit gonna be good because you tied to this white face.
Right.
You know what I mean? Or you know what I mean, you vote for Donald Trump and he gonna be handing out them stimulus checks. You know
Right.
what I mean? You vote for Biden and he gonna, you know what I mean, what they call him, Moneybag Joe.
Right.
I mean, he gonna get you right with them stimuluses. We do it off of money. But as long as you're forsaking your people, it's ill-gotten money, it's mammon.
Right.
You cannot serve God and mammon. All right. With that, if it ain't no questions or comments, I'm gonna go ahead and end it right there. I'll give you a second to give you a second. What the
Got a
sister
comment
said.
in the chat. The sister said, even Alfonso Ribeiro said he know black people don't really mess with him because of who he's married to.
Hey, who's that?
I don't know.
Alfonso Ribeiro. Sound like a, you know what I mean? Sound like it might be a brother who then married the wrong woman. You know what I mean? But
Oh, the brother from this brother right here.
oh man. Well, yeah.
Damn, what was he from?
What's his
Was it
name?
Family Matters?
What's that shit called?
Oh,
Fresh
Prince.
Yeah, Fresh Prince. Yeah, Salakia.
Damn.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, the sister is absolutely. I mean, what the sister said was heavy. You know what I mean? Because why do because there is a sister out there that needs a, you know what I mean, a successful black man to be able to, you know what I mean, to be able to make her household strong.
Right.
You know what I mean? A sister or a brother needs a successful black woman to be able to make his hell less hell. We need one another. But what do? Like the sister just brought out, when we you know what I mean, we grow up in the hood, we grow up surrounded by one another, and then we get a little bit of money and fame and notoriety, and what do? We give it right on to our oppressor.
Right.
And we strengthen their families with our wealth. And ultimately what happens? What end up happening? Well, they end up divorcing you and dragging you all to hell through court and taking everything that you got. So
Right.
now they own all of your riches and, you know what I mean, everything. They spoil you and you end up with nothing. I mean, that comes from integration. So like you was about to say something?
Nah, it's so heavy just bringing that out too. Like that's why what you said, priest, about that interracial marriage being a vehicle to integration, man. Like if you think about it, like the scripture said that we should not give our sons to their daughters and our daughters to their sons. They don't give their daughters and sons over to our children. Like you
Right.
don't every, you know what I'm saying, every oppressor daughter that comes, that deals with a so-called black or Hispanic man, that's an experience for them. They living out a college fantasy,
Right.
and so that's an experience. Catch me outside, and then they going back to their people.
Right.
But our brothers and sisters, if a brother go get with a oppressor woman, he now becomes that nation. He becomes who she is.
Right.
So he puts on the Wranglers and he starts to hate his people. You know what I'm saying? Just like our sisters. Our sisters go and marry these oppressors. Eve, they go and marry these oppressor brothers, and now they become, you know what I'm saying, that dog for their oppressor. So it's crazy. Like that's why the scripture, that's why what you said was heavy about it being the via the integration, because we give our sons and daughters over to their children, and we become them as a people. So like,
I don't know. That's so heavy. You just reminded me of something. There's a picture. I believe Commander General Yohana touched on it. I believe a week or two ago with Eve. You know what I mean? She married this old wrinkly
right,
oppressor.
right,
You know what I mean? She was sitting at the table with him. I don't know what it was, but he pointed out it looked like it was like they was sitting in ranks, like a hierarchy. And he was sitting at the head of the table, and then it was all the wealthy cats, you know what I mean, at the end, and then it was the children.
Damn.
And then she was sitting at the very end of the table. Her husband on that end of the table.
Good night.
She's sitting at the end, and I don't even think she had a chair. They gave her they done flipped over like a laundry basket or something, and she was sitting on that. Yeah, that's what it was. Yeah, but it just goes to show you, like the brother just said, like we don't, like they don't, even when you think that you've married into their lifestyle, like they still don't accept you.
Right.
And by the time that when they done with you, they just go, you know what I mean? You lucky if you, I mean, I can't even say you lucky because it's worse
Right.
things than death. But if you don't lose your life, you know what I mean, you're gonna lose your freedom.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like the brother just said, you know what I mean, you just a fling.
Right.
You a college fling where they send they kids to college and she getting
Yikes.
Jesus Christ.
Right.
You know what I mean? And then what's gonna happen? When she full of after she gets, you know what I mean, whatever happened, she what's she gonna do? She gonna call the police and say that you assaulted her after that shame and guilt of, you know what I mean, what she consented to and what she wanted when she wanted that college experience.
Right.
When that shame and guilt overcomes her, then she's going to accuse you of something diabolical. And guess what? No one's gonna ask no questions.
Right.
Why you think that's why Tulsa, Oklahoma was burned to the ground?
Right.
Because of white tears and nobody confirmed whether it was true or not. That's why what's his name? The young brother. Emmett Till.
God.
That's why Emmett Till lost his life because of the tears and the cries and the lies of a white woman, and nobody confirmed whether it was true or not. You was about to say something?
Like, I got a question for y'all
Please.
too. Like it's bad for me. Like, what kind of conversation they have? Like when Donald, like you see that they see the president come on there and say racist slurs, and you're real and she's white, or your husband he's white. Like, what kind of conversation you have with that? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, you got political views, and then like when you get in an argument, she call him a nigger, and like what is the conversation? You know what I'm saying? Like it's like it's kind of strange and uncomfortable. Then man, you got to walk in public, man, get looked at, and like just to go through that, just outrageous. Like, why would you put yourself through that? You know what I'm saying? And plus, it says in the scripture, like, well, I mean, and then I got the brother with the you ever seen that one with the Captain Tazariak and the brother Cooney? I'm saying the name right?
That's what we've been talking about.
Yeah, that brother, bro. I didn't love all respect. He used to have a little show. He always had them black females on there a lot, and all the try to preach game to him. Man said, y'all need to do this to find man. You do this good black man, and y'all not doing this, y'all not doing that. Kind of find out, this brother is married to an Edomite.
Yeah.
I like what in the hell? So that's why he was up there with Captain Zara. He pushing the agenda that we should love and hatred and that there's no such thing, that the Most High don't want us to marriage outside race and this and that, because he's why he's defending his stance. And his stance is don't matter who you marry, you should be able to marry anyone because he has a Edomite wife.
Right. So what you said, you wanted to?
No, if I could, I have no idea what they speak about in the homes, exactly. but I can imagine they treat it like the workplace. The slave play. What they say is certain things that the slave you can't discuss, which is what race, politics, and religion. You know what I'm saying? It's like you.
That's heavy right there. I want to, if I could touch on that, I think I might have an idea what they be talking about. You know what I mean? What we just read in this Bible. You know what I mean? And based on what you just said, you know what I mean, all of it go hand in hand. We conceding to them. Like when they you know what I mean, when you see that president using them racial slurs and you know what I mean, they get into an argument and now Karen calling you the hard R, you know what I mean? She conceded. You know why? Because you can't serve two masters. So you wanted that white box. So now you have to get that white box, to celebrate that white Christmas, to get that white president and to integrate in the white society, you have to concede your culture and replace it with theirs. Right. So you see, you know what I mean? You see, that's why you see a lot of, you know what I mean, Blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans, they trying to give white people the N-word pass. They say, well, you see, oh my God. Well, you see, I see you anytime you see like a video of like a black person. You know what I mean? I think I saw, for example, it was this like rap battle. It was this white dude battling this black dude, and he was like, they say that I can't say the N-word. And then he said, my nigga, and then he just stole on him. You know what I mean? Yeah. You see videos like that in the comments where black people get offended with the N-word. And you look at the comments and everybody like, I don't understand nobody should be saying it. Or I don't understand why you want to get offended when they say it, but when you say it, it's cool and it's all in all your music. That's what cool. I believe that's what Cooley was saying yesterday.
Right.
He said you push this destructive culture in your music as if the what do they call it? The what's the Jewish the what they call it? The Jewish group. I forget what they call it. The something seven or something like I forget. I just learned about this a couple months ago. I forget what they call it. But it's a basically a family of the Yamaka people
Mm.
that run the major industries, the major entertainment industries. I forgot what they call it. Uh Lord willing, because I really want to find it. But you know what I mean? But he said what's it called? It's got a name. It's got a name. It'll come to me later. You know what I mean? Of course, after the class ends, it'll come to me. But you know what I mean? As if the you know what I mean your oppressor doesn't run the Diamond District and every Salakia and every you know what I mean major industry. You know what I mean? But he was like, it's in your music. You're poisoning what he kept saying something. He said, thinking creates behavior and ideals create thinking and thinking create behavior. And I'm like, man, get out of here. But you know what I mean? As if, you know what I mean? It's we always blame one another. You know what I mean? It's always easy to just throw the blame on us. You know what I mean? But he was just like, it's us poisoning ourselves. And we was, you know what I mean? Completely exonerating your oppressor of their crimes in their hand and what they had to do with Native Americans then and now.
Right.
You know what I mean? So to wrap it all up, you know what I mean? We giving them the N-word pass. So when that argument break out in that household, you know what I mean, and Sharon decide to use that N-word pass in the way that you ain't expect her to use it, you know what I mean? You think it sound good in bed, or it sound good when she's singing, you know what I mean, when she rapping, you know what I mean, it sound good it feel good to be like, yeah, she could say it. That's a good white person, you know what I mean? It sound good, but so that's what my assumption would be. Based on what we was reading here, I believe that they just, you know what I mean, that's how they rationalize it. They just turn their ears off to it. It's like, oh well, I gave Susan a N-word pass, and now Donald Trump is the biggest gangster in America. Or he done got shot at. He a felon just like you, black man, Hispanic man, Native American man. So now you can relate to him. So now when he say the N-word, it's okay.
Right.
Because you know what I mean, we all God so love the world, right? You know what I mean? But any other questions or comments before we wrap it up?
Yeah, kind of. A few sisters come in the chat said, Holly Berry thought the grass was greener.
Uh-huh.
Another sister said, Salaki, sir, if I may, the brat hates our people so much that she actually had that Edomite baby inseminated inside her.
Ooh, that's disgusting. Yuck.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I mean, damn. I mean, well, you already know who to thank. You know what I mean?
Right.
Martin Luther King, that who integrated us into that burning house. Well, what the big question now is, now that we know that Martin Luther King regrets integrating blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans into American society, which he called a burning house, his own words, what are we going to do with his doctrine?
Right.
What are we going to do with his ideals? What are we going to teach our children? That's the big question. If there's any takeaway from tonight's class, what are we going to do now? Because he was all about integration and loving everybody. But this Bible is about separation and blacks, Hispanics, and Native Americans being above all people upon the face of this earth. And following these laws, statutes, and commandments so that we can be wise and understanding people in the sight of the other nations. So which one we going to choose? Which master are we going to serve?
Right.
All right. With that, if there are no questions or comments, make sure you like, share, subscribe to the channel. You know what I mean? Make sure you hit the comments as well. You know what I mean? It wasn't a lot of hecklers. You know what I mean? That's interesting. I thought it was gonna be hell.
Right.
I thought it was gonna be hell in them comments. But you know what I mean? Oh please.
They probably at some old Irish pub celebrating for the inauguration. Salaki.
Man, oh yeah. They too they what they call it, they what they call it? they plaster right now. You know what I mean? They
Right.
celebrating their victory. You know what I mean? But you know what I mean, once y'all get, you know what I mean, once y'all get done from being at that pub, make sure you hit that QR code in the corner. And when you nice and lit, you done had your whiskey. You know what I mean? Getting that comment, getting the QR code, scan it, and say all your nonsense in there with your questions and comments. And morning, noon, and night, it'll be a brother up in there to answer all your questions and solve all your problems. With that, I'm gonna say I imagine, which means to stand. Courtesy salute to the brothers for the visual Mama Shabbat. Imagine, Barak.
Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakatah.
Yad Matah, Sar, the turn of face sisters, give courtesy salute to the sisters. Visual Mama Shabbat. Imagine, Barak.
Yahweh Shem Yahushua Barakatah.
Yad Matah, blessings.